So, hello, I'm Dr. Luis Estevez. I'm a scientist, entrepreneur, and founder of AIMM, a company where we're making a self-disinfecting N95 respirator mask. So, to get into it, of course, unfortunately, thanks to COVID, everybody knows what an N95 respirator mask is. That's now it's part of the vernacular. But what's less known is their use within the hospital system and how it's used. Basically, they are essentially like Kleenex. They're just disposable. Essentially, the safest way to use them is one mask per patient, and that's basically what it is. Like you treat the patient, you leave the room, you throw it out in the garbage as you go, and that's the best way to ensure no cross contamination. Obviously, this is not environmentally sustainable, but I'm going to talk about how it's not even economically sustainable. And what COVID has done is it has really brought a lot of these issues to light. It wasn't sustainable before, but when you get a pandemic like COVID or some kind of dire outbreak like it, which there will be more in the future, all these shortcomings really come up to the front. And what you see right away is in this kind of a throwaway system is the price skyrockets for these reusable sorry for these disposable masks, and basically they jump over 1,000% in price, which is it's crazy. And then when you think about sure, there's alternative strategies like cleaning them for reuse, that can add up to $100 per mask, depending on how many times you clean them and reuse them. And it's not even the right way to use them because, essentially what you're doing is increasing the chance for cross contamination between patients and contamination with the healthcare worker if you are reusing them, because that essentially means you're just wearing the same mask around all day, and then storing it later to be sent out to be cleaned. And I'm going to get into some other issues with that. So essentially, it's just not a sustainable economic or environmental system, and it's actually not as safe as well. And COVID brings this all to light. So what we're doing at AIM is we are making a self-disinfecting N95 mask, and basically the way it works, just really oversimplified, is we attach these what are called biocidal nanoparticles. The important thing to remember is essentially there's these small little particles that are on the surface of the mask, and if you look at the mask under a microscope, what you see is these bundle of fibers that are polymers, is plastics, and we can attach these particles to them evenly all over. And then the idea is as the virus or even bacteria, whatever comes in contact with the outside surface of the mask, it activates with water. So the spittle or the cough or anything that comes that becomes the delivery system for this virus hits the mask, it basically kills the virus on impact. So essentially, it's a self-disinfecting mask. We've estimated the cost using a bottom-up approach of what this process will impart upon the mask, and so there is there is a good amount of service we provide for that $2 to $4 extra per mask, and these masks typically are about $1 a piece. So there's quite a lot of room there for margin. So and this is by no means a trivial task. Like what I'm saying here, this is not easy to do. Uh, but this is where we come in. This is our secret sauce. This is what AIM can do. We're able to do this advanced science to basically make this functionality occur. We're in the midst of working with the IP to patent this technology with the University of Dayton, which is where I'm now partially employed, and we're working with them on the patent so that we can transfer it out into the commercial space. So how does it compare with the current state of the art? Well, when you look at that, really the only thing comparable right now is vaporized hydrogen peroxide, which was developed and predominantly developed by something like Battelle in Ohio. It's a good stopgap measure, but it's by no means perfect, and I'll explain why. Essentially, what you have to do is use the same mask throughout the day, possibly cross-contaminating, like I said. And then I kid you not, at the end of the day, you have your own personalized brown paper bag where you take the mask off, pop it in the bag, hope you don't contaminate yourself. And I've talked to nurses while doing customer discovery, and I was like, how do you not contaminate yourselves? They say, we just are very, very careful and then Purell like crazy afterwards, and then hope that the next day whatever's on it dies. Like it's not a really good system. And then because there's such a shortage, they have to reuse these masks. Then you have to take this mask that could be contaminated on the outside, put it back on your face, walk around treating patients. And during the height of the epidemic, this was done up to 30 days. So this is not really a good system. Of course, the vaporized hydrogen peroxide is good because you can send the mask to be clean, but then you have to handle the mask, send it over very carefully. Up to 40% of them can be thrown away because they can't be cleaned. And it's $5 per cleaning. So after 4 cleanings, you basically have the price of our self-disinfecting mask. So it's not economically sustainable, unlike the AIMM self-disinfecting mask, where you have something that's economically sustainable, environmentally sustainable, and you have a mask that you have yourself that without fear of cross contamination. So so the path to market, the way we see it, is we've done some customer discovery, and we've talked to a high level operating executive at the Miami Valley Health System, and got a lot of information because this is really a pretty dynamic situation right now, of course, due to the pandemic. But essentially, what I learned was they have this 14-day emergency supply of N95 masks that they had to have even before COVID. This is just standard operating procedure. So I basically asked, like, if I can give you a self-disinfecting mask instead of paying $1 for your standard N95 mask, but I can give you one that's self-disinfecting, costs $20. Would you be interested in buying? And she said, most definitely. So and of course, this is just customer discovery. We have to actually make it, but it's nice to know that there's a market, especially when you're dealing with something like I said, like a dynamic market that's due to COVID. And if you multiply 20 masks, $20 a mask by 67,000 masks, you get right away $1.3 million. That's within the 3 hospitals in the Miami Valley Health System. We spend over $1 trillion in the U.S. on hospital costs. The actual number of hospitals is over 6,000, most of them in hospital systems. So we see our path to market as going local, get within the Miami Valley Health System, and then moving out from there into other hospital systems. And that's just the initial market. And the way we do this, we have the team to do this. We have myself, like I said, I'm a scientist. I've been working on porous materials, attaching nanoparticles to them back from when I was doing my PhD at Cornell University. Been doing this for 10 years now. This is what I can bring to the table. I have a huge material science background. I filled in the rest of AIMM with an advisory board to help solidify other aspects like business and marketing with Dayton Tech Center's Katie Hill, Converge Technologies' Eric Wagner, and we even have some additional scientific expertise through Dr. Kenya Crossan at the University of Dayton, who provides lab space and ability to partner with and move the technology forward. We have all kinds of other partners as well and collaborators. So we have the team ready to do this. So that brings us to a strategy. Basically, we have multiple stages and steps, but of course, it's always a little convoluted. Right now, I'd say we are within various aspects of steps 1 through 4. We are working, of course, like I said, to solidify the patent. We're working on a provisional patent, again, working with the University of Dayton and trying to utilize their brand new tech transfer initiative that they're doing. But also, we're starting to build a team, work on that aspect. And what our primary goal is to get funding, non-dilutive funding, through typical government means, and that usually means SBIRs, where they can fund it for no equity, and that's what we're looking for. So we're writing various proposals. We submitted this idea to the NSF because there was a call for these ideas to fight COVID. Submitted a pitch to them. They accepted our pitch and they invited us to submit a full proposal, which we're doing right now. And if it gets funded, then we can move to prototyping, and then we raise diluted capital off of this phase 1 win, and then we start to grow AIMM. And the idea being that then we start to do commercial growth with phase 2 and possibly even phase 3, and off of the dilutive investment. Then once we have this process patented, it can be used for various other applications. Like we are targeting the self-disinfecting N95 respirator mask, but this is by no means the end. We'd have the process patented, so we can apply it to biocidal plastics, which can be very big. But near and dear to our heart is water purification, and that's something that we want to go into eventually as well, because the chemistry and the science is basically the same. To segue into that, and that's a big push for us. So that brings me to the ask. And essentially, what like I said, we are an early stage tech. I'd say we're in two phases, and the first phase we're in the middle of right now is we are looking for non-dilutive capital, nonprofits or governments, SBRs, that type of thing, so that we can grow the company and get to. We have the laboratory data, but we need to move it into a prototype, and for that we need funding. I'm estimating something about 200K, usually what you get for phase one in SBR. We need to broaden the team, work on the IP, which we're currently in the middle of, and then once we have that all solidified, the idea is move into stage two, which is follow-up funding, phase two of an SBIR, for example, where we can get up to 1.5 million investment to really push, scale it up, and perhaps put together a delivery pipeline and commercialize it. And then after that, Series A round of funding for production of mass, or potentially even licensing out the technology to bigger players in the market. And then, of course, move into water purification, which, like I said, is near and dear to our heart, and something that we can build off of the success of the N95 respirator mask. So with that, I'd like to thank you very much for your time this morning and for your attention, despite the time, and invite any questions or any comments you may have. I appreciate your time. Thank you.